You are now tuned into the sounds of What Black Men Like. Got Malik in the building.
Brooklyn.
Got Willie P in the building. Don't be scared now.
Came up from Alabama.
The #1 apex in the world. I know there's something absolutely unique about these guys.
Legendary.
Y'all know what this is. This is Mr. No Cat. World famous.
Look, nobody from Baltimore can offend me. Nobody.
You're now tuned into the sounds of What Black Men Like. So one of the most egoic things, this is an example of ego to me, is when a woman says, I don't need a man. To me, that's an egoic statement. I understand the genesis of that, but I don't understand how that became a mantra. I don't need a man. This is a statement coming from a woman, so I don't, what a man has to say about it. We already know what we think about that, but I want to know what the women think about other women saying that, and have they ever found themselves buying into that, and do they feel like that's ego-driven? Brittney, Burna.
I mean, if we're going to talk general overall and just, what seems to be the norm, I would say that these seem to be bitter people. These are people who've been burned. They're upset. They haven't healed. And, it is what it is.
Have you ever personally found yourself falling into that mindset?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, I've been in a relationship, a situationship or two, and been said, I don't need no man, because I was upset. Because I was like, my feelings are hurt, I'm telling myself something to make myself feel better because I'm not feeling A1. That's what's happening.
So it's more out of hurt than ego. Divine, do you think that statement is more of a statement made out of hurt rather than ego?
I would say that it is from both. I think that it's definitely coming from a wounded space by saying that. And then also it's definitely the ego to come up to protect by saying, like, I don't need no man, right? But in all actuality, that woman is still dating and still searching. And if the right man came along, she would definitely accept that man. So I think that that's a defense mechanism that we use to make ourselves feel better. But in all actuality, women need men and men need women. That's just what it is.
Miss Key, your opinion on that?
I look at it honestly like a realistic term. I mean, probably in the history in the past, yes, a woman needed a man. But I feel like currently you don't need, you want, because you don't need anybody. When you exit this life, you're only exiting on your own. You're not taking your husband with you. So yeah, you need yourself first. I feel like you want a man because even when you think about it now as ladies, we can have our own bank account. Prior to, we couldn't even have that. We couldn't own a house prior to. But now we can do all of that. So I feel that came after we got our right to do these things, that people came up with that. I don't need a man because they're not looking at the full spectrum. At a time, you needed a man to do anything, whether it was medical to your body, to have an abortion, to have a baby, you needed a man at that point. But now, the way things are going, a lot of time I feel like women are saying that because you can even have a baby by yourself. So I look at it like this. I want a man. I want a man because I want that person in my life, that right person in my life. But I don't need them because I can still get a job. I can still get a bank account. I won't be arrested for being an old maid, or what they used to call a lot of single women back in the day that did not get that hand extended to them. I feel like people aren't completing the sentence when they say, I don't need a man. They're not completing that sentence and saying, right now we don't need a man, but I want a man.
When it comes to completing the sentence, I agree with that. You don't need a man for what, right? I think what we're talking about here is need versus want. Let me speak for myself and my experience, right? Do I need a woman? Yes, because I have different needs, all right? I have needs that I can't fulfill by myself, all right? Some of them I think I can, but not the same way that a woman can do it. When it comes to those things, I don't try to do it myself. I defer to the expert, and that's when I go get me a woman, all right? This is what I've seen as a fallout from women saying that they don't need a man. I think the shit that you talking about is some shit that happened back during Civil War, right? But that was like 200 years ago, and we're not in that time right now, right? So what I've seen as a fallout of women saying that they don't need a man, or women saying that they are equal to men, is a lot of males have been fighting women like they're men, right? You can do the search yourself and look it up and see, All these guys have been punching these women in the face because they just been waiting on that opportunity. Those situations go completely different when a man is there. Completely fucking different. You can do whatever statistical search you want and find the truth for that. Especially the men that I hang around, because I don't fuck with no weak ass men. If there's a man that's involved in that situation, you will get a completely different outcome versus some male that just wants to find anybody that he can that take his fucking frustration out on. So do you need a man? Maybe you don't, but when you go somewhere, you definitely need a fucking man. I've never seen a woman call the police and say, hey, look, send me the finest female officer you have because somebody's breaking in my house. Or I'm not going to go somewhere where they have men fixing cars because I don't need a man. I want a woman.
But
right?
is that statement based out of hurt or ego?
I think really, honestly, it's based out of fucking foolishness. I think what ends up happening is you have people like Brittney, Burna, and Miss Divine alluded to, is that people say shit out of hurt and they don't understand what type of ramifications it has for people that are listening. That's why most men keep their fucking mouths shut until they have a time to evaluate the situation, because we understand that the words that we say, they have repercussions. We understand that the words that we say, real men, not males, real men, when we say something, we are instilling something in some person.
We have to stand on what we say.
Attention to what we're saying. Exactly, because you can't just say everything you want and then think I'm going to put this out in the world and it's going to be okay without absolutely evaluating what you're saying.
Well, it's irresponsible to put that out in the world and not finish the sentence like you said.
No, I don't give a fuck if you're a man or a woman. You need a fucking man, because men are going to do things that help the world go forward into the next day. Everybody needs a woman, because without a woman, you wouldn't have any fucking men. And I'm not trying to offend anybody on the panel. If your feelings get hurt by me telling the truth, then okay, your feelings are going to get hurt anyway. But I want to do away with that bullshit of people saying that they don't need men or they don't need women. You're a fucking lie.
So I just wanted to add, he said back in like the Civil War, a lot of people like to think women didn't have rights back in the Civil War, but it was actually, we didn't get rights to have our own bank account until the 70s. And there are people that are still walking around and they were born in the 70s. So that's why I was saying complete the sentence, because of how recent a lot of these women rights are. That's all.
Yeah, I want to respond to the mantra about you don't need a man or whatever. I think it's been regurgitated so many times that women don't even actually know what that means anymore. Right. So when they say they don't need a man, like I said, I think it's speaking from a place of hurt, so they're talking like they don't need one, but me specifically, and just like Willie said, I need a woman. I don't know what the problem is with not saying that. And what she was speaking about in general history, Black women didn't have any rights in the first place. You were brought here as slaves. You're not supposed to have any rights. You was enslaved people. So if you didn't get any rights until 1970, so what? That don't have anything to do with you being a woman. It had everything to do with you being Black.
I also want to say to any men that are out here saying you don't need women, just go ahead and be gay and just go ahead to that side of the fence so we can just have all the women to ourselves. Matter of fact, if you have an issue with women and you hate women, just go be gay. Get the fuck out the way, because there's a lot of dudes, and we're talking about women, but there's men that also spew this anti-women, hate women type of rhetoric. And it's like, bruh, you need to go deal with your mommy issues and get the fuck out the way. I just want to put that out there real quick. So one of the last things I want to talk about on this ego issue is the idea of women and their attractiveness and how that's attached to ego. Now, we touched on the pretty privilege thing briefly in another episode, but I also want to talk about, we have 3 beautiful women on this panel right now. How have you and how are you using your pretty privilege? Are you using it for good? Are you using it for evil? How have you attached that to your ego? And do you think it's still attached to your ego? I'll start with Divine.
Well, I'm definitely going to start off by saying that we have human attraction. And you do have more advantages off of attractiveness. It's just something that is in our innate nature. So something as like first impressions, even as far as like when I'm at work or in career choices or at school, people are known for like the pretty girl or the cute guy, and people gravitate towards them because of those qualities. So it is a good thing or a bad thing, because there's some people that may say like, hey, they may not find me attractive at all. But to say the least, your looks definitely give you more advantages, and people are more open to connecting with you and building relationships with you if you are attractive, because they see the advantage and the opportunities that they can have. So like modeling opportunities, even for being the face of certain companies and certain brands, if they find you attractive, they know that people will be more susceptible to find like, yo, you know what, I think I want to buy that because she looks good in that, or he looks good in that. So yes, I definitely think pretty privilege is a thing, handsome privilege is a thing, and people do gravitate towards that. It's just in our nature to be naturally attractive to what we think is appealing to the eye. And that just doesn't go for humans, that goes for clothes, that goes for food. If it looks good, right, I want to try it, I want to see what it is. So I agree with that.
Divine, did you ever use your pretty privilege for evil though? And if you have you rebuked yourself, and are you now using your pretty privilege for good?
What do you mean as an evil?
You tell me.
Exactly.
you tell me.
You know what the fuck evil means.
You know what it means. Using your looks to get over in situations where if you wasn't that attractive, you wouldn't have got that leg up. You wouldn't have got that, whatever that situation is. Have you done that before, and do you look back on it? And was that attached to ego when you did that?
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with that. Definitely, I think that I have. Absolutely, I think that I have. Like in certain situations, it can be a flex. If I feel like I could look better in something than the next, it's the truth. Like, and I'll not be dishonest about that. Like, if I'm going for an opportunity, I know exactly what color to wear. I know what makes my skin color look good. Like, I know that if I wear this, or if I say this, or if I know, right? I know me. So I know what makes me highly attractive and what people like to see me in. So I agree with that. That's probably why I'm here.
Exactly. All them skills you learn from a trans man.
Yo, you need to relax. Key, pretty privilege, how have you used it, and if you think it's attached to ego.
Key, yeah, hell yeah, she has. I'm gonna answer for her. She evil.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, you have.
Honestly, I really don't think. I really feel like for me, it's always been my personality. It's always been the gift of gab I've had. Every job I've had, it wasn't because I look good. It's because my qualifications are there. The way I could speak are there. Now, when it comes to doing media, there is always, especially with women, people want to talk about pretty privilege, but it only works in your favor for a small portion of time. You have to have the work experience. You have to have all of that. Right. So I don't really feel pretty privilege exists really because of the fact that you can only use it for a small window. And Lord knows that don't let you get older as a woman. All of a sudden,
I don't know. Angela Bass is still using that pretty privilege. I don't know.
And there's still people that will probably say that she couldn't play a sex symbol because of her age.
Brittney Burna, we already know that you've been out here for years using your pretty privilege to cause havoc and destruction in the streets. But let me let you answer this.
I mean, as Key said, it is used for certain times, and it does have an expiration, as in the moments when it's good for. Let it be discounts, VIP section, flights.
There you go, Brittney Burna. Talk that talk.
I just know it happens. It's not my fault. I look good.
It is not. And look, I think beautiful women are a gift to this world. One of the best things you can be in this world as a woman is a muse. And use your pretty privilege in quotation marks to inspire people to be great. And that is a gift to the world that women have. A muse is a woman that uses her gifts, her beautiful gifts, to inspire those around her.
So I understand what a muse is, but I think you're going to have to define that.
Well, who's an example of a muse? You would probably say Michelle Obama's a muse, but a muse is a woman. He's gonna say Mayor Bowser's a muse, which I totally disagree with.
Muriel Bowser.
She's not a muse because a muse to me is a work of art, something that you let stand and don't touch. I would absolutely touch all over that one.
Dante, get your man. Get your man.
You think Muriel Bowser is hot?
Absolutely.
Get your man, Dante. This dude is crazy.
Hey, dog. You can catch her at any of the local go-go's.
Oh, really? Hey, don't tell me that shit, because I'll be up in there.
But I think a muse by her presence and by her energy can inspire people around her. If she has a certain energy and she walks into a room, that can be a muse to me because she's uplifting the energy of the room and everybody in the room feels better because she's in the room. That's a muse.
Right. If she does it correctly.
There's a lot of women in this world that do that, but they not on social media promoting that they do that. They just do it, in my opinion.
This is what I would add to pretty privilege. Here's an example. A Bentley is a great car. It rarely loses value, if ever. It's hard for a Bentley to lose value, even when it's been in an accident, all right? However, Bentleys are very expensive because they are limited edition. When you flood the market with Bentleys and everybody can get one, it's inexpensive, okay? So everybody trying to have pretty privilege, it kind of negates the value of it, all right? Every woman trying to look cute and trying to show off body to get something, it really negates it. For me, right now, you cannot use pretty privilege on me at all because I'm going to look past that shit. I see pretty chicks all the time. I want to know more. I want to know what you have to offer, what you got in your head. Kind of like what Key was alluding to when she said, hey, look, I don't have to use pretty privilege because my gifts and talents speak for themselves, right? So for me, a man at my age that has ample experience, you just got to come to the table with more at this point because right now, the market is flooded with chicks trying to get pretty privilege. It's just like Dante was saying earlier, it's people out there that think they have pretty privilege, but they really don't. Some of them pretending to be 9s when they really are 3s. So
that's a whole nother conversation. That's hilarious. So before I end this, there was an article. I don't want to say this author's name because I know I'm going to butcher it, but she talked about 5 ways to spot the female ego, which I thought was interesting because she labeled it the female ego. So 5 ways to spot the female ego. Number 1, follow her Instagram. The Instagram will reveal the level of narcissism and the level of egoism in this individual. Number 2, how she competes with other women. That will give you an insight into the level of her ego. Number 3, her reaction when she does or does not get attention. That goes back to what we were just talking about, the pretty privilege thing. How she reacts to receiving or not receiving attention. Number 4, she makes you wait. Now that could, I don't even want to go into that, but basically if she makes you wait unnecessarily, so let's say you're in a situation where you're dealing with a woman and she wants to do something, but she's playing a certain game and making you wait, that's an indicator of ego. Number 5 is rejection. How does she handle rejection?
Rejection.
Right. How does she reject other people? That's an indicator of ego as well. Now, those 5 things that I just laid out, Divine, out of those 5, what do you think is the biggest indicator that you could look at and be like, okay, this is going to give me an idea of a person's ego, of a woman's ego?
I would go with the competing with other women thing. I think that real women don't see competition in other women. The women that I align myself with, we want to see the best in each other. So I don't think that it is a competition. I think that we all have special gifts that we share with the world. And I don't feel like there's a need to compete. There's enough room for everyone. So I would go with competing with other women. When I see women, right, saying I look better than her and I dress better than her, to me, I look at that as that's an insecurity that you have within yourself. I had a situation with one of my friends and the conversation sparked due to the boyfriend getting a new girlfriend, right? And the conversation always comes up about who looks better, right? And I'm like, but what if in his eyes there is no comparison because he's not looking for the same things in you that he sees in her? So I would say the competition with other women.
That to me, that's a good answer. You can tell a lot about a person if they even look at other people as competition. Key, out of those that I laid out, which one do you think is the biggest indicator in terms of ego?
I would have to say it's rejection and how a person handles it. We've all experienced rejection at some point in our lives. We're going to continue to experience it until we leave this earth. So a lot of the times there are people that can't handle rejection well at all. It's a matter of ego at that point, because if they throw a tantrum or if they're upset, it's more so because they feel that they deserve and that they're better. I wouldn't say it's competing with women because a lot of times if someone put $1 billion in front of you and said, you guys go through this obstacle course, are you just going to just stand there and not compete because you're competing with other women? No, you're going to try to put your best foot forward. So I would say it's how you act in the face of rejection.
Key, you sound like you talking about yourself.
Child, if somebody had me in an obstacle course with a whole bunch of women, if they want to stand there and not compete, fine by me. I'm gonna be $1 billion richer.
Obstacle course is different. I'm thinking competition, like women compete all the time. I get what you're saying. Obstacle course, absolutely. Put your best foot forward.
Brittney, Burna, out of those 5 that I laid out, which one do you think is the biggest indicator?
The biggest, I think I'm gonna rock with Key on that one, because that was the first thing that popped in my head when you asked it in the first place. It was rejection. But I could definitely see how competing with women comes into play, because I always thought that about immature females. Like, that's always been my thought. Like, girl, anytime you're not your own biggest competition, you're on some dumbass little girl shit. So I can definitely agree with it. But like, I mean, all of these things are just so like, if you catch her on the wrong side of that end, it can definitely very much be a vicious indicator, like easy. Like, if you spot one, it's probably going to be another.
I don't think you should cancel anybody out, because you should look at the totality of a person. If they have Instagram, what it might be a little much, but in combination with all the other attributes, is that person still a quality person?
So I think Instagram, I think you should take that off, right? I don't think that should be on there, because I think Instagram can give you a false sense of reality, where you will have a bunch of guys, maybe they'll DM you, maybe they'll like your pics and all that stuff. But does that mean they're going to like you as a person? Not at all. I think just because you post some pictures that you can enhance and change, however, that doesn't reflect well on your reality. And I think a lot of times people get a false sense of reality when they have this Twilight Zone type of mentality, where they're walking around thinking that because they get clicks and likes on Instagram, that everybody gonna like them in reality, when it absolutely is not fucking true.
Yeah, for me, I think the Instagram also would need to be replaced, because it's more of a new concept. But I think it was Key, the one that said it. It was rejection. A lot of women that consider themselves 9 or 10s that I talk to have never been rejected. They've never gone after a man, or never have gotten a man like men do, because that man didn't like you in the beginning. Like, men go after women, they may have a boyfriend, she may not like them, they be persistent. As time goes on, they may come to a connection and they form a bond, a relationship, and may even get married. A woman that considers herself a 9 or a 10, that's why they so lame when you talk to them, and they don't have no personalities, because they didn't really have to talk. They don't have to crack no jokes on you. They just sit there and they look pretty. Right. So I don't think they're able to get a man. I don't think they're able to talk to a man, and maybe even take a man for another woman that may be less beautiful, because of the fact that they have no game. They might get smashed. They might get smashed off or something like that temporarily.
But that personality sucks.
So I would say rejection.
Okay, to end this off, I'm gonna ask a question, and this is gonna tell me a lot about everybody and your ego. This is gonna tell me a lot. When you leave this earth, there's one thing they could put in your tombstone. What is it gonna say? And Mr. Willie P, when Willie P time to enter that upper room, what they gonna say on your tombstone, bro?
He completed his assignment.
I like it. I was hoping you say something else so I could talk about the ego thing, but you fucked me up with that. Dante.
On my tombstone, I wanted to say one of the baddest motherfuckers of all time.
Ego. There we go.
He lived life to his fullest.
Divine. Same question to you.
I would say I would have to go with somewhere between freedom and definitely fulfilling my mission, somewhere between the two. Definitely finding my personal freedom and doing whatever feels good to me and not giving a fuck what anybody else says, and fulfilling my mission. So that's my journey between me and the higher power. So whatever that looked like, I did that.
That's what's up. Miss Key.
Honestly, I know mine's is going to be extremely ego-driven, because I'm going to say...
We know it's going to be ego-driven.
We already knew that, Key.
I did a good job, because if you did, give me a round of applause. I always said I want my funeral to be a big party, because I want people to celebrate me for real.
That's what's up, and I agree with that 100%. Brittney, Burna, what's it going to say on your tombstone?
That's very profound for me. I feel like it has to be very well written, but it's gonna be something along the lines of, I love that girl and I miss her.
What the fuck?
I love that girl and I love that girl and I miss her.
And I miss her.
That is a very Brittney Burnery type of quote.
It definitely is, and that's why she is Brittney Burner, ladies and gentlemen, in case y'all didn't know.
I got my heaven on earth. When I was here, I lived it to the fullest, and I got my heaven while I was here. And wherever I go after that, it's going to be even better than that. But I lived my version of heaven right now while I was alive.
That's that Drake shit. Okay, I got it.
Oh, that's disrespectful. Don't ever compare me to Drake.
Right.
But yeah, so this was a complete and well-rounded conversation.
Ms. Divine, you was sweet. You was pretty cool. I appreciate you. Ms. Key, you seem like the type of chick that you would have to fuck out of spite. You know what I mean? Like, look, I don't want to hit her, so what I'm gonna do? I'm just fuck her till she can't fucking move, and then be like, yeah, you should have shut the fuck up when I told you to.
Key, he's extremely toxic.
No, but it's the truth though.
Y'all have to talk about that on your own time.
In all honesty, Miss Key, I think that I can tell that you're a very intelligent woman. I really can, and I appreciate that quality in women, despite all of the shit that I was talking. I want you to know that, and I want you to keep doing what you're doing. Miss Divine, like I said, I was very honest with what I said. You're a very sweet person. Don't ever let anybody take that away from you. Same with you, Miss Key, being so hardworking. And yeah, I did mean what I said. I would fuck out of spite because, right? Because
the comments of Willie P do not represent the comments of What Black Men Like podcast. But I want to thank my guest, our illustrious guest, for coming in here and sparking some great conversation. Brother Dante, you came and you did exactly what I thought you was going to do. If people can find you anywhere, tell people where to find you. If you just want to sign off.
Yeah, right now I'm gonna just sign off. Maybe in the future we could start talking about that. Yeah.
You don't want that hate mail. That's what it is.
Gonna keep it on the low for now. Miss Divine, it was a pleasure having you on. Loved your energy. And can you please come in here and tell people where to find you and how they can support you?
Yes, thanks for having me. My Instagram is Siarra Divine. That's SIARRA Divine DIVINE. So thanks for having me. I enjoyed myself, and we need more conversations like this.
We absolutely do, and it was a pleasure having you. Miss Key, the non-pretty privilege using Key, if you can come in here, tell people where to find you and how they can support you.
Of course. So you can find me on Instagram at IamKey21_, and that's 2 I's, AMKEE21_, or at thekeynotepodcast.com, and it's KEE. Keynote.
Oh, okay. See, that's the ego statement right there.
Last name is Key. Gotta mark it off of it.
Hey, I like it. We came, we saw, we conquered. What Black Men Like? Best podcast in the game. We did it again. We out here, y'all. Peace and love. Keep them egos in check.